It's somewhere in between chasing an 8-figure a year business, balancing that with ministry, and trying to avoid burnout. I once woke up and asked myself the question, whose life am I actually living? And I didn't really have an answer. If you've ever felt like your calendar writes your story for you instead of the other way around, if you're a high performer, if you're an entrepreneur, and you feel like your life is going on autopilot and it just doesn't sit well with you, then this video is for you. I'm going to break down a 4-step framework that has helped me to get back control and independence in my life when it felt like everything was just going on autopilot. This story really starts when we were in Japan, specifically in Kyoto, when we were in Fushimi Inari, Taisha. That's where the 1,000 torii gates are. Beautiful place. I fell in love with it right away. And as we were going up the mountain, which most people don't know this, it's actually like a 4-kilometer hike total up the mountain going down, probably a little bit more. Somewhere around 5-10 minutes into that hike, our kids tapped out and they said, we don't want to go up any higher anymore. And my wife kind of looked at me and saw that I wanted to go the whole way. And so she told me, you want to go up the mountain? I said, yes, I would love to. And she said, we'll see you at the bottom. I took the opportunity to kind of hike up by myself and, just take the time to reflect. And somewhere in between, probably kilometer 2 or 3, when I had finally seen the view of Kyoto from the top of one of the openings of the mountains, I felt like I had found myself. I'm literally the only one up here. Every goal that I hit in the past couple of years felt like it was pre-ordered by someone else. It was pre-ordered by our clients, by the algorithms, by people that we were serving. And so I felt like for the longest time, I had realized that I was living a big portion of my life for other people. And I get it, right? That's good if you want to be of service to others. When you're living your life for others, it's easy to fall under the trap of being defined by other people. All of a sudden, your work becomes about how's this going to affect our employees? How's this going to affect our clients? Or what would people think if I posted this piece of content instead of that piece of content? So I felt like I was living my life on autopilot. That someone else, that the people around me, that the circumstance kind of like determined where my life would go. And it's a very dangerous place to be because I found out that I was burning out a lot easier, that I didn't feel as fulfilled as I wanted to be. And my meaning and my purpose and my source of identity was highly dependent on how people saw me. I kind of found myself and I kind of came into this epiphany of, wait a minute, yes, I want to be of service to other people, but I cannot let other people determine who Kiko Mabilog is. And in fact, if I really want to be of service to people, I need to find myself. And as an entrepreneur, as a high performer, we like to talk about finding skills and learning marketing techniques. But I think that really identity is the biggest hack if you want to achieve like a lot in life. Because if you don't find out who you are, all of your achievements will really mean nothing at the end. And I really say that with full confidence because at some point I found myself in that trajectory where I was chasing, trying to, achieve goals, but not really knowing why that goal was important to me in the first place. If it was really my goal in the first place, or if it was just what I thought that society wanted me to achieve. And so if you're here and you're saying that kind of sounds like where you are, then hopefully I want to encourage you to really take time to find out who you are, to really be founded in your identity first, and then chase success from there. That way, you don't lose yourself in the process. Up in this mountain, like what drives that? And I'm going to get to that in a little bit as I talk about the framework of how that experience actually sparked something in me. And quick disclaimer, you don't have to go to Fushimi Inari Taisha to experience this, although I highly recommend that you do, just because of the place, not because of the experience per se. But wherever you are, whether you're in Japan, in Kyoto, back home in the office, in your own home, this is hopefully a framework that you can use in your own life as well. So the framework that I want to share is the acronym GATE, G-A-T-E, which, is an ode as well to that experience that I had on Fushimi Inari Taisha going through the 1,000 torii gates. The first experience was getting away from the hustle and bustle and the autopilot of life. Novelty can really break the neural ruts in us. When we're stuck in the grind of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of hard to kind of get away and really have a good perspective of life as a whole, really. As Chinky, one of my mentors and the people that I work with and has really been a big influence in my life, always tells us, if you're too close to the tree, you're not going to see the forest. And that truly makes sense, because if you don't get away from the hustle and bustle of your life, then it's kind of hard for you to really have a bird's eye perspective and to kind of see your career, your relationships, your direction, and ask yourself the question, is this really where I want to go? Yes, travel is one of the experiences that can help you to do that. And being in a mountain, being alone on a mountain with the beautiful nature can be a big help. But you don't really have to do that in Japan or in Kyoto. You can do that wherever you are. You can have micro escapes. You can go for a quick 30-minute drive and just ask yourself the question, or go to a coffee shop and just be alone in your own thoughts, right? But just getting away from the autopilot, be in a place where the familiar does not distract you, can really help. The second part of this experience was when I took the time to really audit my roles. And so that's the next thing. So G is to get away, and then A is to audit. And so when I was up at Fushimi Inari Taisha, one of the thoughts that was running in my head was, here in the middle of nowhere, I didn't have to be who I was. I mean, when I pass by another hiker, they have no idea who Kiko Mabilog is. And so they don't have the preconceived notions that a lot of people around me in my place of influence might have. Everyone always has an expectation of who you are. And for me, it's when I'm talking to our staff, it's they expect me to be the boss. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, I have to be the boss to them. When I'm with my family, there are expectations. When I'm with clients, there are expectations. When I'm in the ministry, there are expectations. You do have a role in society. I'm not saying that you kind of have to just throw your roles away. You have to have some moments in your life where you're not driven by the roles that you have. And the reason why that's important is because the biggest temptation in life is to base your identity and character on what you do instead of who you are. When people ask us who you are, it's our natural response is to enumerate the things that we do. And a lot of the things that we enumerate are always work related. This is what I do. This is my career. These are the job roles that I have at work. This is the kind of salary that I have. This is the kind of income I have. And those things are important, but they don't necessarily encapsulate your identity as a person. Are these roles affecting my identity, or is it the other way around? And ideally, it should be the other way around. That your identity as a person, that your beliefs, that your values, that the things that truly matter to you are affecting, in a good way, the roles that you have. If you don't know what your values are, then you need to determine what your values are. The next thing that you want to do, and this is something that I did not on the mountain, but when I got down, is to talk to yourself. Kind of sounds weird again, but to talk to yourself ideally on paper. And so when I got down from Fushimi Inari Taisha, next thing that we did is we went to a coffee shop, got a notebook, started to write down my thoughts. The first thought that I started to write down is, wait a minute, what are the roles that I need to audit? Going back to that second point. And so I wrote down founder, parent, friend, creator, investor, and all of these roles. And I asked myself the question, what kind of father do I want to be? What kind of husband do I want to be? What kind of founder do I want to be? It really gave me a lot of clarity, because I started to visually see the character that I wanted to have. Anyone can be a parent, right? Anyone can be a business owner. Anyone can be a high performer. Anyone can be a CEO. Or what kind of parent, founder, CEO do you want to be? And doing that on paper can really help you. So just free write for 15 minutes. I mean, you don't really have to have a structure. I don't want to put a structure into this. Too much structure anyways. Because what you really want to do is just capture your thoughts in the most raw way possible. But you'll be surprised at like your scribbles later on, how much it actually just speaks to the question, who am I as a person? And it gets you out of that autopilot mode. The last one is to embed one change, meaning it's not just something that you're doing as an accessory, but you really want to embed it deep into your life. And then just one simple change. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to move to Kyoto or you have to quit your job and all of that, but just look at your life and embed one change. One change that I actually decided to make after that experience was to simply put 30 to 45 minutes at the start of my day where I wouldn't work. So at least that way, when I started the day, I wasn't being bombarded by emails, distractions, but I really just took time to get clear about what is my intention for the day. Who do I want to serve best on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And so that one change has been amazing for me, because now all of a sudden, the decisions that I make, the projects that we're taking on, the relationships and the networks that I'm building are now all based on my values. What does that one change look like for you? It doesn't have to be big. It could be daily journaling, 5 p.m., turning off your phone at 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. in the evening, taking your family out once a week. What I really want to highlight is just taking a change and then turning it into a habit that you can easily measure and track. And so I find that the many times that I feel lost in my life, or the times that there's no clarity on what truly matters to me most, the values that I have, and that frustration starts to set in, is when I build habits in my life that really go against my values as a person. The question that we should ask ourselves, and the question I want to ask you right now, is what's one habit that you're doing on autopilot in your life right now that goes against your values? And I would probably start with that habit first, changing that habit and replacing it with another habit that really aligns with your goals. And so that's the framework that I've used since that experience in Kyoto. And it's a habit that I'm starting to also try to build in my life. So G is to get away from the autopilot, the busyness of the hustle and bustle. Second is to audit your roles. Third is to talk to yourself, ideally on paper. And then E is to embed one change in your life. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions or if you have any thoughts about how you can apply that in your life, you can reach out to me. So for those of you who don't know, I actually opened up a coaching business as well. It's not like the main thing that I'm doing, but it's just something that I'm trying out. And so it's also something that I've been trying to like discover if I'm really a coach by profession. Might be something that could happen long term, maybe not. But if you're interested in coaching, then reach out, right? If not, and if you're not ready for coaching, that's completely fine. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Sounds so YouTubey, right? But like, subscribe if you think that this channel helps you. Check out the rest of the videos that I've got posted, and share this with a friend who feels like they're living autopilot. And with that, thanks so much for being with me all the way to the end of this video, and I'll see you next time around.